YouTube? This is your boy Alex. Today is Friday, my third day off from work. I'm back at it with the job applications because, let's be honest, washing dishes is not exactly the best job in the world, but it has paid for some new clothes and some new shoes. But I want me an actual job where I can just come to work, make some money, not deal with no BS drama. I mean, you're going to get drama at all jobs regardless, but you want the drama to kept to a bare minimum, but that's not what this video is about. Just giving you an update. Alright, today's YouTube video is going to be Sex Game. Only bringing one episode of Sex Game, because I know there's a lot of you guys, not all y'all, but some people, they can't tolerate self-improvement videos because they're too educational and they want to just give them the answer. That's the thing with some men. Stop trying to always get the answer so you can get laid and score when someone tries to give you the breakdown and the information on what you should do and what you should not do. So when you get put in those situations, you know how to persevere over them versus you have to go to Key Richie's on YouTube and cry in his comment section because he be trying to tell guys on YouTube to stop doing certain stuff and they don't be listening to him. And then 2, 3, 4 months later or 5 years later, they find his channel again and they start to apologize to him. And y'all got to give the man some credit. He believed that, I won't say me, but someone of my description and other people might have hijacked his trademark and started using his stuff for their videos, which I'm going to make a YouTube video about that. I've been planning to make a video called Jealous YouTubers, and when somebody be player hating on another YouTuber, and then when you take someone's stuff and you get popular off of it, you don't give that person no credit. And just waiting for we get closer to the end of the year so I can drop that video, because there be too much activity on YouTube, so when I make that video, I wanted to try to get as many views as possible, because a lot of people are upset with Walt Disney and Sony Pictures going back and forth with the Spider-Man thing. So I don't want to drop that video and it don't get no retraction, because that's going to take all of my retraction. And when I make the video, I have to specifically explain what's going on when I call it Jealous YouTubers. Now, this is going to be called Sex Game: Why Women Love Bad Boys and Players. I'm going to give you the math and the science on why women love bad boys and players. Because there's still some men out here who are nice guys and good guys that even after all the videos I made, videos Ringo TV Raw made and Key Richie's and Solo TV 84 made, still don't understand why women love bad boys and players. So I'm going to try one last attempt at this, because at some point you got to stop being a nice guy and a good guy thinking that she going to come to you. And I already said in another video that don't happen until the woman hits the wall. And most Midtowns are mad because guys like me and Key Richie's, we don't talk about there's a third wall. Midtown be preaching until pigs can fly in outer space that there's not 2 walls, there's 3 walls. Well, I'm going to sum up as this probably would be the third wall that don't talk about. Her phase of messing with bad boys and players. But I just can't say bad boys and players, because you got women who mess with athletes. You got women who mess with music entertainers and entertainers. And then you would say bad boys and players. Now, what you see in television and film is probably 45, maybe 50% true. The rest of it is just BS. See, Hollywood loves to produce these movies and these television shows and marketing into a specific demographics, a certain audience, a certain age group. You won't know what I'm talking about unless you took a television class in college. I took 3 television production classes. The average college student don't even get a chance to do as many classes as I did. I did 3 and almost done 4 of them. And if my other job hadn't made me work more hours, I probably would have done a total of 5, maybe 6 television production classes in a 3-year span. If my older job hadn't told me, man, you need to work more hours and forget about school, I would have been able to lay the smack down more on what I'm talking about. Sadly, it's just 3 television classes with a combination of music. The third one was television broadcasting. So I have an idea of what they do on news television. It takes almost anywhere from 3 to 5 hours to prep. You have to do prep time. You got to make sure the cameras are set right. You got to make sure the smart camera's right. You got to make sure the dollies have been set up. You got this one camera that can go up and down. You got to make sure that's accurate with a 180-degree turn. You got to make sure all the people got makeup on. They're wearing the appropriate attire. They got to read their lines on the script because they can't go on TV with the script and say their lines. They have to actually memorize their lines, or it's not real, it's fake. You will destroy the suspension of disbelief. It sounds real, it feels real, but it's not real. And television likes to do that. So does film. Now, when I say bad boys and players, I'm talking about movies and television depictions that people go off of as negative stereotypes and then perpetuate them to actually be true without actually having any proof of evidence if the portrayals they see in the movies and the television shows are actually true. You would look at shows like The Wire, right? When I was in high school, that show was so popular because it dealt with cocaine, drug distribution, and crime of New York City, and the criminals would travel back and forth between New York, Chicago, Miami, and then of course Los Angeles, as locations. And The Wire was such a hit because Algebra Elba was in that television show. Michael B. Jordan was in there. Michael Coulter was in there. What's his name? Wayne Brady, that black guy that can sing his butt off and he has the bald head. He would be on that show. All of them was on that show playing these types of characters, but Algebra Elba was so known for that show, he got onto another show called Luther, which kind of was the same take, but it was crime in London, and he was the main character of that show. Then he got so big that he ended up into the movies. So you look at the show The Wire, Luther, and then let's not forget Power, right? That seems to be on for quite some time. 50 Cent produces it. It's a big hit. People seem to love the show. You could even use Power. Empire, if you're going off the first and second season, towards the end of the third season, I know what happened to the show after that. We're not even going to get into details, but you can use your imagination. And then you have movies like Baby Boy, Training Day. Those are prime examples. And you see these movies get made because if people like this type of stuff, they're going to watch it. So if we go back to John Singleton's Boys in the Hood, you could probably say that's the first movie of its kind that kind of would dictate the narrative for generations. So you would say the 90s, the 2000s, and the late 2000s, you would start off with Boys in the Hood. And then you would get with Poetic Justice, then Baby Boy, and then you would look at movies like Training Day as a continuation of these events. Now, to answer your question why women like Bad Boys and Players, these movies kind of give you the answers to that question. Like, I would say Training Day answer it a lot more because it's dealing with undercover cops having to become criminals to catch criminals. So I would say Training Day goes far more into why a cop has to break rules of the law in order for him to catch another person who's breaking the rules of the law, right? Baby Boy just focuses on the city, the environment, and the man struggling to realize his full potential and what he can do in his limits. So that's what Baby Boy focuses on. Boys in the Hood would just be a nice way of saying that when you get to a certain age, it's not expected of you to realize your full potential. So you would probably say Boys in the Hood. You probably would say movies like Poetic Justice and Baby Boy are sequels to Boys in the Hood. Because Boys in the Hood is what capped off what we got. So when people complain about drive-bys, people shooting up the hood in South Central and Compton, you can just look at Boys in the Hood as the movie that kind of dictates that narrative. Now, let's get to why women love Bad Boys and Players. the bad boys and players that we see in the real world, they're similar to what we see in the movies and the television shows. But if you had to take a movie where it's almost accurately, literally close to the real interpretation, you would have to go with Training Day. Why Training Day over Baby Boy? Because Baby Boy is taking scenarios of, what if you actually got to date the bad chick? You know how they say nice guys and good guys always cry that I want me a bad bitch. I want the bad bitch I never got in high school and college. Baby Boy's a nice way of saying, had you actually got the bad bitch from high school and college, this is how your life will turn out in a bad way. Training Day is more of a, be careful what you ask for, you just might actually get it. And once you get it, you will then question, should you have even gotten it in the first place? So I would say Training Day a lot more than Baby Boy. Because Baby Boy is just throwing scenarios at you on, yeah, this could happen, that could happen. You know, this is what happens if you get what you actually want. Now, the reason why I say Training Day is because if you look at the archetype of Denzel's character, you could tell in the movie at one point he was a nice guy. He was a good guy. He followed the rules. He played by the book. He did what he was asked. He did what he was told. He put in the most work. And he thought it was going to translate into something better. And it did. But what he didn't realize, he would have to go through a lot of problems and a lot of pain and suffering before all that hard work paid off. Then he sees a guy who tries to follow in his footsteps, and he tries to warn him about making the same choices he made when he thought the answer was to always be good, when he realized that being good don't always serve as a good purpose. People seem to just disrespect you when you're good. And you kind of see that archetype in that movie play out, where Hoyt is trying to do the right thing, and Hoyt is trying to understand why Alonzo's telling them certain things just don't seem to work when you do them. Even if you expect that's the right thing to do, they don't come out right. And you see he keeps creating situations for Hoyt. He keeps making things so difficult for the main character, it creates a series of challenges. Well, that's why women love bad boys and players. Because they create challenges. They're not boring. They're so fun and exciting. You don't know what they're going to do. One minute they'll take you to Wasco's Chicken and Waffles in the hood, and then 3 days later he might take you to New York or Chicago and a couple of his friends selling some cocaine. So with those types of guys, you could never ever predict what they'll do until they actually do it. He could get on the phone and call a girl up at 12 o'clock in the morning, and the girl will get up in the middle of the night, fix her hair up, put some makeup on, put on her best looking clothes, and then get out of the house by 1 or 2, and God knows where she goes. Now, here comes you and I, when we were the nice guy and good guy. Here we come to work, and we expecting to see the girl that we have a crush on. She show up maybe 20, 30 minutes late. You know, she don't get fired, but she get that little speech in the office, try to come on time, just try to come on time, and you don't be understanding what just happened. Now, the bad boy can pop up at her job, and right in the middle of her working, get that conversation that the nice guys and the good guys will never get. Now, I talked about it in a YouTube video before. And you be trying to protect her from the bad boy, from the player. And usually it's guys between 6 feet to 6'6", 200 to 245 pounds of muscle. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's intimidating. He's physically opposing. You can tell he goes to the gym. And you can tell that he can bench press, leg squat, and deadlift 250 pounds. He's swole, big broad shoulders. He's big, he's buff. he looked like the type of guy that will knock you out with one punch if the situation calls for it. You can feel the Mactism energy in the room when he comes in. He demands the attention. He commands it. All eyes on him. And here you come, the nice guy, the good guy, trying to figure out, why is this guy getting all the attention? He's nobody. Well, to us, he's nobody, but to the women, he's someone. And then it turns out this guy is highly profiled. He's the guy that they talk about on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. He's the guy that gets around. He's the guy that goes from city to city and does his thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want YouTube to take this video down and be like, we told you 5 times, kid. You can't be saying certain words, so you have to read in between the lines. He goes from city to city, coast to coast, and he do his thing with the ladies. And here you trying to copycat. Here you trying to imitate. And he can read your body language. You trying to be a fake bad boy. You trying to be a fake player. You try to dress like him. You try to buy the same clothes and the same shoes as him. But it don't come off as real and authentic because he's real. And you just doing it because you figure it might make the girl that you like find you physically, sexually attractive, but she finds it repulsing. She finds it insulting that you buy new clothes, new shoes, you get the fresh shave, the fresh haircut. She don't find it physically, sexually attractive because you're trying so hard to get her to like you and she don't like you. You did it when you was in high school. You did it in college. Now that you got a job and it still don't work because women can see right through it like a water bottle. I've done it plenty of times in high school and college and got absolutely nowhere with it. And I did a social experiment, and guess what? It doesn't work at work either. And then you get these men from the age of 18 to 29 trying it when they go into the workplace, and then 90% of the time it fails more than it works. Now, when he does it, it works because he's actually from that environment. He's from Crip City, where he crips. He's from Blood City because he's a blood. He is what they show in the movies and the television shows. He doesn't hide behind anything. He shows his conviction. He's real in his conviction. And the guy who tries to pretend, well, there's 2 things that happen to him. Either he gets his butt whooped by the police officers because the police officers are trained to see the difference between real criminals and wannabe criminals, or he gets banged on by a real individual who's from that actual environment. And then you can see that guy run away and hide in the house, and his dad look at him and say, I told you to stop buying those type of clothes and shoes because they don't search your personality and characteristics. So then that explains why the nice guys and the good guys keep getting rejected 90% of the time. The reason why the bad boy can come to her workplace and speak to all the managers and supervisors and customers and never get escorted out of the building by police or by security is because he owns his conviction. The nice guy and the good guy, the reason why he gets kicked out of the building is because they can tell from a mile away you saw a movie or a television show and you tried some stuff and they feel like it ain't exactly real or authentic. So I'm gonna have to escort you out of the building because you bring this level of energy that makes people uneasy and uncomfortable. Whereas when he comes in, he has a similar energy signature, but he isn't getting himself into trouble because he's aware. He is street smart. He's aware of his surroundings. The nice guy and the good guy don't really pay attention to their surroundings until they get told by a police officer or a security guard, you know, this area ain't too good. Why are you in this area? And it becomes clear that we know what you're trying to do. Now, let's get to the fun part. The sex. He's able to tap emotional triggers. He's able to get her to speak, as they like to say in comic comedians, speak in tongue. He gets her sexual emotions so wired that she stay up all night thinking about that sexual encounter. He took her up, he took her down. He took her to the front, he took her to the back. He got her so wired up, she can't go to sleep. So she stay up for the rest of the night watching TV and reading books and talking trash on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram because he was able to tap into those emotions like that. Now here you come with some flowers, some roses, a box of chocolate, or you try to make her a t-shirt and she looking at you like, okay, it's a box of chocolate. What I'm going to do with a box of chocolate? She give it to her little brother because she don't want the candy. So you buy candy, it goes to waste. You buy her a t-shirt, she don't even wear it. The bad boy or the player buy her a t-shirt, she wear it at home. No sooner, as soon as he give her the t-shirt, she wear it and take pictures and put it on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. You buy her a shirt, it just sits in the closet and collects dust for 6 months to a year. It gets sent to the Salvation Army and somebody else wear your shirt. But you don't know that. You buy her some flowers and some roses, she give it to her mother or grandmother and say she went to the store and spent 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70 or $100. But you don't know that. I'm just trying to explain to the guys that are still nice guys and good guys what happens. And then to make matters worse, let's talk about lunch. You take her to lunch and dinner, she acting like she want to go home and go to sleep and get ready for the next day of work. The bad boy and the player does it. She want to know what else are we going to do after dinner and lunch. See the difference? That's if it's a real bad boy or player. Now let's talk about the sad, ugly truth. When it comes to why she chooses the bad boys, the players, and the thugs, if the bad boy and the player is not available, she gravitates towards the thug. The guy that goes to jail 6 times, 12, 15, 20 times, right? And the reason why she seems to like them more than the nice guys and the good guys, and they say this but they don't want to admit it, women like to date their own self. Not all women, so I don't want the all police to come up in here and prosecute me. Some of y'all might spit out your Pepsi, your Coca-Cola, your Mountain Dew, your Sprite, your 7-Up. You might spit out your Kool-Aid, your water, whatever it is you drink. You might spit it out there what I just said. That's right, you heard me. I don't want the all police to come up in here and prosecute me. They like to date their own self. A lot of these thugs, a lot of these criminals, degenerates, as you nice guys and good guys keep calling them, they come from single-parent homes. They don't have no father in the house. Their mommy is the mother and the father. And these men, once they get in their 20s, they are displaying what you think is masculine energy. It's feminine energy. They have the characteristics of a woman. So you might get a guy that comes into a gym who's between 6 feet to 6'4". He's between 200 to 250 pounds of muscle, big broad shoulders. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, got the 6-pack abs, and he's alpha to the core in the gym. Look like he could take on 3 people and beat all 3 people up in the gym. Look like he just got out of county. But when he go over to her house, he's as the complete opposite as what you saw in the gym. So when the bad boy and the players are not around, because the player has too many women to date, the bad boy, he has too many women to date. And then ultimately those players and bad boys, they settle down, they get a family, and they retire from being the bad boy. They retire from being the player. So the only person left by default is the thugs. So she messes with the thugs for about 5 to 10 years. And she only messing with the thug because that's who she chooses to prefer. She does this from the ages of 18 to 27, but to be nice, I say from the ages of 18 to 29. Now, after a span of 15 to 20 years have gone by, when she's 35 or 40 or even 45 years old, or worst case scenario, 50 years of age, what happens is she now wants the nice guy. She now wants the good guy. The problem is, because it's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years later, extreme cases, the nice guys and the good guys have now turned into the bad boy. He has now turned into the player because he sees that the bad boys and players do it, so I should do it. And most of the time, it doesn't work for every man. So you get all these nice guys and good guys trying to become bad boys and players. Only 60% of the time, they succeed. Not everyone who does it will succeed. Then you have some guys that no matter how hard they try, being a bad boy and a player never works. And then they have to become rich and famous and become multi-billionaires or multi-millionaires. And they eventually become like somebody like the guys you see in the Hollywood movies and television shows. They end up like somebody like Michael Coulter, who does Luke Cage. You know, they become somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, George Clooney. They start dating foreign women exclusively. You'll hear a guy that's rich and famous with the suit and tie and the dress shirt that drives the $250,000 or $250 million car only date foreign women or only date white women exclusively. Usually the reason why those guys start saying that is because once upon a time when they was in high school and college or at work, they never got to date the bad bitch. So because they never got to date the bad bitch, they start putting rules and standards on things so they can get exactly what they're supposed to get. And then this creates a problem for the woman because once it's 10, 15, 20 years later, or extreme cases, 25 to 30 years later when she hits the wall at stage 1 and at stage 2, now she wants the nice guy. Now she wants the good guy. But the problem is some of these nice guys and good guys have turned into the bad boy. They've turned into the player. Terrible cases, you get some nice guys and good guys who turn into the thug. Now she's stuck with the same choices that she had when she was once in high school and college and at work. Now here she 35, 40, 45, and all her choices she got is bad boys, players, and thugs. You know, now that she's ready for the nice guy and the good guy, he's not ready. Because all the time that she spent messing with them, that's it. If you don't like that scenario, we have the basketball players and the football players who get put in the middle. The same thing with the basketball and the football player. That woman will dress very sexual and very perverted for the basketball and the football players, you know, the entertainers. But when it's the nice guy and the good guy, she dressed up like a grandma. You get a woman 25 years old, 27, 29 years old, she dressed up like she's grandma. But when it's the basketball player, the football player, when it's the bad boy, the player, the thug, she dressed like she a super freak from a Prince video. If y'all know who Prince is, she dressed up like a freak for Prince video, or she dressed up like a freak going to a rap concert or a rock concert. But when it's the nice guy or the good guy, she dressed up like she's a grandma who's 50 going to church. So you get a case of she'll dress for the nice guy and the good guy, but it's like a grandma. And when it's someone she finds physically, sexually attractive, she'll dress up like she's the freak. Until then, peace.